Very good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the videos. If you guys are looking for more videos and updates like this, please like, share, and subscribe my channel. Our today's topic is how to configure a static routing on Fortigate firewall. We are going to see how we can configure a static routing on Fortigate firewall step by step with the help of lab in this video. So we are going to design a topology, then I'll tell you how we are going to configure static routing on FortiGate firewall. Okay, so at very first I'm going to add a node that is going to be our FortiGate firewall because we are going to perform a static routing configuration on our FortiGate firewall. Okay, and I'm going to take the version 7.0.12. You can take whatever you do have. Okay, this is our first node and that is FortiGate firewall. Let me add a network and that is going to be our management cloud network. Okay, with the help of this management cloud network, we'll access our firewall GUI on our local system. Okay, let me change the icon so it will look better. I'm taking cloud icon. Okay, yeah, it looks fine. And let me connect this particular management cloud with our FortiGate firewall. And I'm going to connect this management cloud network on our FortiGate firewall port 1. Why port 1? Because port 1 is by default configured in DHCP, and whenever we are going to turn on this particular FortiGate firewall, it will take automatic IP from DHCP itself. Okay, because we do have DHCP mode configured on our port 1. Okay, okay. Let me add the next node and that is going to be our Windows PC. Okay, let me change the icon. This looks better and I'll change the name. This is going to be our LAN PC. Okay, you can give the name whatever looks better for you. Let me save that and I'll connect this particular LAN PC with our FortiGate firewall. Okay, the next thing I can do, I'll add one switch here. Just hold on. If you have any query, just hold on because we are going to cover the topology part first, how the topology is going to work, and then we'll move on configuration part. Okay, so I'm going to give the name switch WAN. I believe this looks fine, and I'll connect this particular switch with our port 3. Okay, and what I'm going to do now, I'll add two more nodes, and that is going to be our Cisco iOS 3725. Okay, this is router, so I'll give the name ISP and icon is fine. I'll just save this. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add two nodes. But yeah, we can do one thing. We can give the name ISP1 and the another one is ISP2. Okay, let me save this and connect this with our. Okay, so we have almost designed our topology. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to assign the IP subnets. So our LAN subnet is going to be 10.10.10.0/24. Okay, let me change the color so it will look better. And okay, so this is going to be our LAN subnet and what IP we are going to assign? We are going to assign 10.10.10.10 to our PC. Okay, this is the IP we are going to assign and that is going to be for our LAN PC. Let me just duplicate this and we are going to give the IP 10.10.10.100 to our FortiGate firewall port 2. Before that, let me before assigning the other IP to the other part of topology, let me turn on the FortiGate firewall because it will take some time and let me turn on the LAN PC as well. Let's do one thing. Let's turn on everything. And in the meantime, the devices are getting powered on. I'll assign the IP subnets to other part of topology as well. Okay, so our LAN part is done. Let me do one thing. Let me assign IP to our WAN part, and I'll give IP. Let me just give it 192.168 and 100.0. Okay, this is going to be bold, and so this is our WAN IP. Let me just duplicate this, and we are going to assign the IP 100.100 on our WAN interface. Okay, and do one thing. Let me just duplicate and give the IP here 50, and the other device I am going to assign this as a 60. I just added two routers so we can do one thing. Whenever we are going to create a static route here, we'll see what is the exact how the next hop is going to play a picture in that. I can perform the lab with the help of one ISP as well. But why we added two? Because we can get it in like some deep mode. Okay, let me do one thing. What I'm going to do, I am going to create a loop back one on our ISP1. Okay, and we'll assign a global DNS 8.8.8.8. Okay, and we'll try to reach out to that global DNS with the help of our from LAN PC. We'll try to reach out to this global DNS through our Fortigate firewall. Okay, let me just duplicate this as well, and I'll put here loopback 1 ISP2, and here we'll assign secondary global DNS that is going to be 4.4.4.4. Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's create a loopback 2 for ISP1, and here I'll assign the IP 11.11.11.11. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me just copy this and put another subnet loop back to ISP2, and that is going to be 21 21 21 21. All right, so we have designed our topology. Let me just explain you the things what we are going to do. Let me just take a snap. What we have done in our this in this topology, we have first added our FortiGate firewall. Okay, we have added a Windows PC that is going to be our LAN PC, and we have assigned the local subnet LAN subnet 10.10.10.0/24. For our PC, the IP is going to be 10.10.10.10, and for firewall interface, firewall LAN interface, it is going to be 10.10.10.100. And for WAN, we have assigned the subnet 192.168.100.0, and our WAN firewall WAN interface IP is going to be 192.168.100.100. Okay, after that we have added a switch, and we have added two 3725 Cisco routers. We have created a loopback. Just consider these routers as a ISP, and we have add we are what we are going to do. We are going to add two loopback interfaces on each uh, 3725 router, and we'll try to reach out these subnets from our LAN PC through Fortigate firewall. Okay, so why I have taken two ISPs here, to be clear, like whenever we are creating a static route, how we can reach out ISP2 and how we can reach out ISP1. Like if we are going to configure it twice or thrice, it is going to be clear for you guys. Okay, how we can, like how if the traffic is coming on Fortigate firewall, how it will forward the traffic towards our ISP1 and how it will forward the traffic towards ISP1, ISP2. Okay, so whenever we are going to create a static route on our Fortigate firewall, we are going to mention next hop. So whenever we in this video, you can see there is like four subnets. We are if we are trying to reach, let me just clear out this. If if we are going to see there is total four subnets, we'll try to reach out, and two of those subnets are present on ISP1 and two of those subnets are present on ISP2. So whenever a PC LAN PC will try to reach out to 8.8.8.8, what will configure the routing here on FortiGate firewall? Whenever we are getting a traffic for 8.8.8.8, the firewall has to forward that particular traffic towards next hop 192.168.100.50. In the similar way, whenever our LAN PC is generating a traffic towards 4.4.4.4 or 21.21.21.21, the firewall has to forward that particular towards our next hop 192.168.100.60. Okay, and how it is going to work, we'll see in the like lab part, configuration part. Okay, so before starting the lab, I'll tell you one more thing. Whenever we are going to configure the things on firewall, I mean, if we need a traffic to go through firewall from local PC to towards internet or towards any other zone or any other destination, what we exactly need to configure on firewall? First, we have to configure interface. Okay, interface on firewall. Second, what we have to configure? We have to configure DNS. Okay, after DNS, what we have to configure? We have to configure policy. After policy, what we have to configure? We have to configure NAT. Okay, and after NAT, what we have to configure at the end? Routing. Okay, so what we'll do at very first, we'll configure the interface on firewall, then we'll configure the DNS, then we'll configure the policy. And for NAT, if we are going to study NAT over FortiGate firewall, there are two types of NAT. One is the policy NAT, when you are going to create a policy, there is an option to enable NAT inside the policy, and the another one is central NAT. Okay, so that we are going to cover in NAT part in deep, but right now, just for your knowledge, what we are going to use, we are going to use policy NAT here itself. So whenever we are going to configure a policy, there will be an option to enable the NAT, and we will enable that particular NAT. Will not create a separate NAT, central NAT for this particular lab, because what is our main motto or main task to achieve? To see the routing, how we can configure on FortiGate firewall. So let's do one thing before starting these configurations on firewall. We'll do one thing. We'll configure our LAN PC as well as our ISPs. Okay. So let's start the ISPs. It will take some time to load. Let it be load. Let me start ISP2 as well and enter no. And in the meantime, let me log in into our LAN PC. The password is going to be test123. Okay, enter. Let's see. Okay, we are on the ISPs, and this is going to be ISP1. See the name. So what I'm going to do, just enable config t. First I will change the name. Hostname is going to be ISP1, and then I'll configure the interface. Which interface? Fast Ethernet 0 by 0. Okay, FA 0 by 0, and I'll give the IP address. What is the address for ISP1? 192.168.100.50. 192.168.100.50. Okay, and the subnet mask will be 255, 255, 255.0. Enter, and this is a physical interface, so we have to run a command no sub. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll just exit, and I'll configure a loopback. So interface loopback 1 IP address. IP address is going to be 8.8.8.8, and subnet mask is going to be 255, 255, 255.0. I'll do one thing. I'll create loopback 2 as well, and I'll assign IP address 11.11.11.11. Subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0. Okay, and if we are going to see, so IP interface brief C, we have configured fast Ethernet 0 by 0, which is connected with our WAN, Fortigate WAN interface. And another two subnets, we have created a loopback and we have assigned the IP on that. We don't have to do a no shutdown for loopback 2, because these are the logical interfaces, and these are always in up mode. Okay, I'm writing the configuration, and we don't have to configure any routing on this. Why? Because we are configuring the routing on our FortiGate firewall. So if everything, we are getting a traffic for 8.8.8 or 11.11.11, firewall will forward that traffic towards next hop 192.168.100.50. And after forwarding this traffic to 192.168.100.50, the traffic will reach out to this particular node ISP1. And if you are going to see on ISP1, these both subnets 8.8.8 and 11.11.11 are directly connected, so we don't have to do routing for these, because it will directly get a routing bit let me just yeah, because let's not get into deep on these routing parts, because if we are going to get deep on that, it is going to be very difficult to finish this video in short. So just if you guys have already gone through the routing videos, this is the thing. If we are receiving any traffic on this particular node and the next hop is directly connected, sorry, the subnets is directly connected, it will automatically forward that traffic to the next hop. It's directly connected, so no need to configure any additional routing. Okay, is that clear? So the same way it will follow the traffic whenever the firewall is getting any traffic for our 4.4.4.4 or 21.21.21.21. Okay, so ISP1 has been configured. Let me configure the ISP2 as well quickly. Enable config t hostname ISP2 interface FA 0 by 0 IP address. What we are going to assign 192.168.100.60 192.168.100.60, and the subnet mask will be 255 255 255.0. Okay, no sut. Let me create interface loopback 1 and assign an IP address. What is the IP address for that? 4.4.4.4, and subnet mask will be same 255.255.255.0. Okay, and let me create loopback 2 as well and assign the IP address. What will be the IP address for that? 21.21.21.21, and the subnet mask will be same /24 255.255.255.0. Okay, if we are going to see, so IP interface brief. Okay, just ignore this full duplex that is coming with, like, we have connected this through switch. Okay, if we can configure that part as well. I have already shown you in multiple. So we have configured the things necessary thing on our ISP2. So see the routing table. If anything we are getting for 21.0.0, it's directly connected, right? See, here it is directly connected on loopback 2. If when anything we are getting for 4.4.4.0, it will directly forward it towards loopback 1. It's directly connected. Okay, I show you how the routing table is also going to work. Let me just quickly write this configuration on ISP2. Okay, so we are good with ISP1, ISP2. Now let me configure this LAN PC. Let me just assign the IP on this. Change IP adapter setting, properties. Use the following IP. What is the IP is going to be? What we have decided 10.10.10.10. Okay, let me just assign this 10.10.10.10, and the subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0. Default gateway 10.10.10.100. Why? If you are going to see, here is it is. Okay, if we are sending any traffic from this LAN PC, what will be the default gateway? 100 10.10.10.100. Okay, so I given that, and what DNS we are going to use? 8.8.8.8. Okay, so I have configured the IP on LAN PC as well. So what part is, like, we have already configured our ISP, we have already configured our LAN PC. The only thing is pending to configure these points on our firewall. So let's do one thing. Let me just open this firewall, and how we are going to log in? The default ID will be admin and the password will be nothing. It is asking for new password, so I'll give 123. You can give whatever you want. Okay, so we are in and we can run a command. So system interface and question mark. So you can see on port 1, it's configured as a DHCP, and what IP we got on that particular port? 192.168.33.190. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me just add that text here. How it got that, like, the IP in subnet 192.168.33.190? That is totally, like, we have already discussed multiple time, right? That's totally depend upon our VMware configuration. I'm not going to show because it is going to be a long video. So what IP we got on our port 1? 192.168.33.190. So let me do one thing. Let me just where it is. Yeah, here. Let me just copy this IP and let me try to get this IP. Enter, and yes, we got the GUI of that particular firewall. Let me log in admin, and what will be the password? We set password 123. So we are logging this for first time, so it will ask for some basic setup. So what I'll give? FG FW hostname. You can give whatever you want. Let me do okay, 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 and here we are. Okay. So what was the very first thing we have to configure? We have to configure interface as per our topology. Okay, so we have to configure port 2 interface and port 3 interface. Let me configure this quickly. So to configure this particular interface, where we have to visit on our network section. So on network, you will get interface section. You have to click on that. And what port we have to configure? So we are going to configure very first time port 2. Let me just configure port 2. You can click on that. If you are going to double click on that, it will directly give you a pop-up to configure this particular port 2. Otherwise, we have other options as well. I'll give Elias name as a LAN, and rest all things are good. We have to assign the IP here. So what is the IP we are going to assign? 10.10.10.100/24. Okay, and I'm going to allow HTTPS and ping on this particular interface, and the status is enabled. That's it. Okay, so our port 2 is configured. What's next? We have to configure port 3. What is the IP for port 3? 192.168.100.100. Okay, let me configure port 3. That is going to be our WAN interface, and the IP is going to be 192.168.100.100. Okay, and well, what we'll do, we'll allow HTTPS and ping. And here, see what we missed: invalid IP net mask. So we have to give net mask as well. You can give slash 255 255 255 255.0, or you can simply give slash 24. That is also going to work. Okay, and the status is enabled. That's it. I'll do one thing. Port 1 is already is in use for our management, so I'll give Ilias name as a management, better to identify this. Okay, and if you are going to see, there is a tunnel interface already configured with any. Okay, so the first thing the interface thing we already configured all the three interfaces which was mentioned in our topology. The next thing what we have to configure, DNS. Okay, so for DNS also we have to visit network, and in network you will get a DNS tab. Just click on that, and if you are going to see, currently it's using FortiGuard, FortiGuard server, DNS server, but we have to use our own. So just click on specify, just change this server. I'm going to use 8.8.8.8 and 4.4.4.4, and it's going to be UDP53 DNS. The all other things looks fine. Just click on apply. The DNS is already configured. See. Okay, the next thing what we have to configure, we have to configure the policy. So for policy, we have to visit policy and object tab. Just visit on that, click on firewall policy, and if you are going to see here, there is only one policy, and which is implicit deny. So if anything receiving from any source for any destination for any services, it is going to be denied. So what we have to do, we have to create a policy. If we are initiating any traffic from our LAN and it's going towards our ISP or it's going to see, just leave that part, it's going towards WAN, we have to allow. So for now we are just concentrating on our routing part. So what we'll do, we'll create a simple policy, not a specific policy. We'll give a name allow all. Okay, and from where the traffic is coming, so anything is going to be received from our LAN or port 2. Okay, here what is it is asking, it is asking for incoming interface. So traffic is coming on which interface? Port 2. So incoming interface is going to be our LAN port 2. Where it is going, if we are trying to reach out to these ISP, the exit interface will be port 3. So we'll select WAN. Okay, and the source, we can define a specific source for this particular, like just like we do have our LAN 10.10.10. So we can define a traffic, a specific traffic for this LAN and for this particular WAN. What we are going to do, we are going to allow all for this type, and we'll see a policy creation in detail in upcoming videos. Okay, so I have allowed for all source, for all destination. Schedule is also always, and services, we can specify the services as well what we need, but for this time I'm going to allow all. And we have talked about policy net, right? And I told you it is by default going to be allowed. So see here, the NAT policy is already allowed. And what policy is allowed? Use outgoing interface address. So anything we are going to receive from LAN, it will automatically get translated in the WAN interface IP 192.168.100.100. We'll see this in upcoming videos. Okay, so for now, just remember there is two type of NAT, policy NAT and central NAT. Policy NAT is by default is there in that particular policy, and we can use that policy to reach out to internet or other destinations. Okay, so I'm going to leave this as it is. And the log traffic is already allowed. Let me just generate logs when start the session and click OK. So we have created a policy. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's try with this LAN to reach out to WAN. Like, are we reaching out to WAN or not? And before that, we can just like see there is a network section, and in network section there is a static route section. Okay, so we are going our main like motto to achieve this task, like to configure a static route. We'll see that part. Before that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate some traffic towards ISP1 8.8.8, and let's see if we are able to reach out or not. Let me do one thing. First, I'm going to ping our gateway 10.10.10.100, 10.10.10.100. Okay, so till gateway we are reachable. You can see the response. I'm going to ping 8.8.8.8, and I'm going to apply a continuous ping till the time we are not configuring the routing here. Okay, so you can see there is a request timeout. Why? Because we don't have a route where like the firewall is receiving that particular traffic, but it don't know like where it that particular traffic has to be sent. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me go into the network section. In network section we can, like, there is a static route section. Just click on that, and what we need here, we need a static route towards our destination where we are trying to reach out 8.8.8.8, right? So let me do one thing. Let me create a route. Anything we are receiving for 8.8.8.8, just forward that particular traffic towards 192.168.100.50. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me create a new route, and the destination, which for which particular destination we are looking for. So that is going to be 8.8.8.0/24 we are looking for. We can create a route for a single IP as well, 8.8.8.8/32, but I am going to create this for whole subnet. Okay, and what will be the gateway IP or next hop IP? The gateway IP will be the, if we are going to see this particular subnet, it is going to be 192.168.100.50. Let me just add that. Sorry, 192.168.100.50. And on which particular interface, what is the like exit interface there for that? Port 3 WAN interface. It's already selected. Let me just click. Let me do one thing. Let me minimize that and keep both on like same window so we can see. I just clicked OK, and see we are already reachable. Earlier we were getting request timeout, but now we are getting a reachability for our 8.8.8.8. Let me do one thing. We have created a routing only for 8.8.8, right? Let me generate some traffic for our another. Let me reload. Yeah. So let me generate some traffic for 11.11.11.11. Like, are we able to reach out or not? Ping 11.11.11.11. See, still we are getting request timeout. Let me do one thing. Let me generate some traffic for 4.4.4.4. Ping 4.4.4.4. So for ISP also, like, we are getting request timeout. Why? Because firewall doesn't have routing for those IPs. We do have only routing for 8.8.8.8, and if we are receiving any traffic for 8.8.8.8, it is getting forwarded towards our next hop IP 192.168.100.50. So let's do one thing. Let's try with let's try creating the route on firewall for 4.4.4.4. Let me do one thing. Let me just go to the GUI, create new, and this time we are creating a route for 4.4.4.4. I'm not going to create for a specific IP. I'm going to create this for a whole subnet. And if we are talking about next hop IP, gateway address, what will be the gateway address for 4.4.4.4? So the gateway IP for 4.4.4.4 will be 192.168.100.60. Let me just do that. 192.168.100.60. Okay. And this is going through our WAN interface. ID is fine, status is enable, and before clicking that, before enabling that route, let's check one more time if we do have reachability for that. I'm just applying a continuous ping and see we are getting request timeout. Let me click OK and let's see if we are going to be reachable or not. See, we we are reachable now. Earlier we were not, but now we are getting reachability for our 4.4.4.4 as well. So why I took two ISPs here, that was like my main motto was to show you the next hop concept. Like, if we have to reach out to our subnet 8.8.8 and we are giving a next hop IP 192.168.100.60, so in that case routing is not going to work. So we saw the configuration like for both the routes 8.8.8. One was belongs to our ISP1, and for that next hop was 100.50. We have configured the same, and for 4.4 the next hop was 100.60. So both the routing are working. If we want, we can create for 11.11 and 21.20 as one as well. Let me just do one thing. Let me just create one more for 11.11. Okay. 11.11.11.0/24, and what will be the next hop for that? If we are trying to reach out to 11, the next hop will be 192.168.100.50. 192.168.100.50. Okay. And see, if we are going to check for ping for that 11.11.11, still it will not work. See, request amount. But if we are going to click OK, we'll get routing for that. See, the reachability is there. So I believe the static routing configuration part is like fine for you guys. You guys understand what I was supposed to tell you. So see you guys all, you all in next video we will be going to cover another routing concept or like dynamic routings or other routings or other all topics in upcoming videos. So thank you for your support. Let's see you in next video. Thanks. Bye.